All right, what's going on? Here we are. We are live, and it is, what is it, Wednesday? It is Wednesday. Welcome back to another episode of the Ragni Show, and here with an old friend from the Totally Driven Radio days, and her days. You might remember her from Hell's Kitchen. You might remember her from becoming a champion on Chopped, or you might just know her from the restaurant industry, not even just from Philly, but around the country. Here she is, the one and only Chef Christine Hazel. Christine, how the hell are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a while, like a seriously long time since we've hung out or did an interview. So I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, you know what? Like I was trying to think, like when was Chopped? Was it 3 or 4 years ago?
Chopped was 2018. In the fall.
3 years ago.
And Hell's Kitchen was 2015 in the spring. So it's been a really long time.
Yeah. So it's been at least 3 years since we've talked, and there's been tons that has happened in both of our lives over those 3 years.
Very, very true. You look great, though. I feel like Nashville's doing well with you. Like, you look great.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, the whole change in my life, you know, everybody knows I went through a divorce, new relationship, new everything, new location now in Nashville, and life is good. Life is beautiful, and I learned how to finally love life and enjoy life and not fake it through life.
Well, that's a really great skill to have. I'm really happy for you, though. Seriously.
Thank you. So, like, there's so much to say.
I know. Where do we begin?
Yeah, like, you know, it's funny. Like, here, it's funny and scary because I don't think I even told you this. So, you know, we did probably 4 or 5 interviews over the years, and I never really saw like the Hell's Kitchens season when you were on, and my fiance now is like a huge fan of Hell's Kitchen, and when I moved here, like literally she sat me down and we watched like probably up through season, I don't even know, 18 or 19. So I finally got to see all of it and like experience it all, and holy shit. Like
it's a lot.
it is a lot. And I, you know, even like the opening show of your season, I was just like, oh my god, like where they were jumping off the roof with the stuntmen, they were saying you guys are going to have to do it. I'm thinking to myself,
yeah, I volunteered for it. They don't even show it. Like Brett.
Oh, really? Did you?
Yeah, we were the first ones to put our hands up. We're like, we're in, and then he's like, just kidding. That would have been rough. Seriously.
That's hysterical. But like when you're doing a show like that, I mean, I've watched other Gordon shows, and you know, everybody's watched these reality shows, but I don't think I've ever seen between Hell's Kitchen and MasterChef. I couldn't deal with that pressure. Like, not only are you cooking for like, you know, Gordon and whoever else, but the pressure that you must feel is ungodly.
It's a different kind of pressure. We all feel pressure on a daily basis with our jobs and things, but it was definitely hard, especially at first, just to like absorb everything that was happening. All the people constantly watching you and not like knowing who was around you. I think that was the biggest struggle in the beginning. But the pressure, like once kind of got used to it. It took a few days and you realize, okay, I made it through it and get chopped the first couple of days. Then it kind of became another, like a job for me. And it kind of gave me a skill set like no other. So now when I go into something that I think may be scary or a little bit intimidating in the job field, I really don't feel it as much as I would have before Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen was my first culinary experience. I was still in culinary school. So I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. What the hell were you thinking?
I don't know. I just figured if I'm going to go, like, go big or go home at this point. Like, I was like, I was in my last, I had one more semester when I got home to complete, and I had to keep quiet about it. And a few of my teachers knew because I had to get permission to go. But I was trying to like mentally prepare because I really didn't work in the kitchen yet. I was like, oh, this is going to be a shock. And it definitely was a shock. And that's why I was super excited about how far I got, because that's a lot to handle. My first time
Yeah.
working in a brigade and under Gordon Ramsay, just, just in that alone. And I took it more of as a learning experience of absorb as much information as I possibly could and use this in my career to build my character and really just, I think it definitely helped me along the way a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Some
Absolutely.
people not so much. I mean, it all depends on your experience, and I think what you take from it and how you portray yourself. When I say portray, I mean just being yourself and not really just amping things up for some people. Like I feel like I don't like to be like seen in a bad light. Like I knew that coming out of this, I don't curse a lot. I mean, I do every once in a while, like everyone does, but I don't want to be someone like that. I couldn't get a job afterwards, if that made sense. I wanted to be, a professional in the long run. That was the most important thing for myself, at least.
Did like the other chefs on the show, knowing at that point, like once you get into it and you guys start getting to know each other, and then they're finding out that you're basically just coming out of culinary school, did they kind of look down on you at that, or
I mean, it was war. You went in there and people could pretend they liked you or they didn't. And I definitely had a lot of friends in there and that I did take after the show, like that we're still friends today, some. But I feel once you open up about your experience, people are going to look at you as an easy target. You definitely get targeted more in the beginning. But there were some people that were in the business for many, many years. It still didn't have like the gut instincts that I think that I had. And also I was 28 years old though, as well. I went back to school after I doing things. So I feel like it still was more mature sometimes than some people when it came to, thinking about things, strategizing. And I don't know, I don't do anything when unprepared. So I was like memorizing anything I possibly could, ratios, like just flavor profiles, anything that could give me a leg up. Same thing I did with Chopped. I get crazy when it comes to competitions, but yes, I would say people definitely target you, but you have to strategize and be better than them and watch your back completely in that game because they come for you and they're sneaky.
Did you ever get asked to go back like on an all-star show or anything, or?
Most of the time the all-stars were the Black Jackets. So I came in 9 out of 18. So that happened. They were filmed. I know I have lots of friends who are really, really close. I talk on a daily basis. But I wouldn't say is that 2016, 17 they were starting to film. Okay. 17. I know they aired in like 18. That was great for them. I am no stranger to competition or television. I'm not sure if I would want to do another Hell's Kitchen per se, but there's definitely been like jobs, been other opportunities over the years, just depending if it's the right fit for you as well.
Right.
But no, I was not asked back on Hell's Kitchen. I think I'm okay with it.
Once is enough, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's an experience, and some people they want to be Gordon Ramsay's next head chef. I think we all just have different goals. So it's just a matter of what your end game is. And I think that has evolved for me and changed over the last few years. And, just how this pandemic has changed us all too. We're different in a way. And I think it gives you more like a realization of exactly what you want. That makes any sense.
It does. So well, also too, this is the first time we've done, face-to-face interview. Usually it was over the phone. Sure. But, with this new modern technology, I have now like people can pop up comments and all. And I just figured out I'm going to do this. I can put the question on the screen, I think. Let's see if I can do this.
That's fun. You're so fancy.
There you go. There you go.
I'm like, do I have to type this or do I have to say, no, I did not. Well, the question, if everyone can see, is: did you ever want to punch out Gordon Ramsay? No, I have a lot of respect for Gordon, and I learned a ton from him. Yes, there's been times where he was screaming in my face or throwing food at me or random things, But at that time, like, you listen to what he has to say, and for me, like, you can yell at me all day. I'm just going to absorb it and take it and move on. I've been in other kitchens where you have people that are, very dominant or very have a, how do I say it, just like a power, like that you just respect it. That's something I I would never do that. No, I've seen some people try or say certain things like that to him, and I'm like, what are you out of your mind? Like, crazy. And he's very tall and big. I don't think I would stand a chance.
That's funny. Now, how about Chopped? You go on Chopped and you end up becoming champion. You won your episode of Chopped.
So much fun.
How about that? Do they do like a Chopped All Stars or like Battle
I
of
think
Champions?
they are constantly filming when it comes to Chopped. So I think there's lots of opportunities there, and just depending on what's happening right now. But yeah, they're constantly. It's just a matter of who they're casting at this time. Is it firefighters? Is it chefs? Is this? I mean, I have no control over that. I mean, I've done lots of interviews for different shows per se. Sometimes you're what they want, and sometimes they're not. It's just a matter of casting and how things work, and or if it's something you want to do. Sometimes there's things I just wouldn't want to do. Like I'm not riding around on a bike cutting things and like doing random stuff. Like you ever see like a long time ago, it was like Cutthroat Kitchen. I don't want to do anything like that. But certain things I would. It just depends on if it makes sense, and also it also has to make sense for your job that you're working at the time as well. So making sure that your job is okay with you doing television. That has been a big thing for me over the last few years, not just about television, but about pursuing my other career endeavors. So I've learned since Hell's Kitchen, especially, that you have to make sure that they're okay with like you going on television. You have a contract, and like say you can go into the news a certain amount of times once the show airs. I want to make sure if I do something, I'm able to fully commit to it and, do what I'm supposed to do according to my contract. So it's definitely, there's a lot of things in there, a lot of details
that people don't realize.
Oh yeah. There's a lot going on. So for sometimes I was a private chef, in addition to working at multiple places, during the last 2 years, I've been at Moonshine in South Philly. And then like took on that role for them for a while. Still going to be consulting for them, but then I have a new job coming up. The biggest thing with me for them was I have a lot of things that I have on my plate. I have scheduled. I have a lot of endeavors. I want to still be able to travel, do my pop-ups. And in the end, I want to have my own cooking show. So I have to keep working towards those things. And I was like, if you want me to work for you, then this is what you have to bring to the table for me. And it took me a while to find the right fit, but things happen for a reason. If you stick to your guns,
interesting.
It happens.
And I was wondering that too, because I know you kind of you did that role a few years back for Chicky and Pete's.
Yeah, I was their chef advisor.
Right, and doing stuff now with Moonshine Philly. And I was wondering, so it seems like you just said, you're going to still stay on as an advisor. Couldn't you like actually do that in multiple spots and kind of almost like be a chef working from home advising?
Well, I don't want to be a chef working from home because
you know what I mean, but
super hands off. But I had to do some things. I also work for a golf club, a very big golf club. Let's talk about that on camera, but it's for a very big tournament that happens every year. And for that reason, I'm usually away 3 to 4 months. And then last year, almost 6 months because of COVID and a tournament getting canceled and rescheduled. Let's just say it's a very big professional golf tournament that I've been doing for the last 8 years. That has taken up a lot of my time, and it's also something that it's dear to me. So I didn't want to give that up for a very long time. So any job that I took on had to adapt to what I was doing with that, because that was my main focus.
Right.
The new job that I'm going to be taking on, an exec chef job in Willow Grove for a club as well, is allowing me to go and do those things in addition to many others. So I'm super excited about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's fun.
Now you mentioned, COVID, the world of COVID. How did it affect you last year? Being in the restaurant industry, we know how, especially up in the Philadelphia area, you guys were shut down a lot longer than we were down here. So how did it affect you personally?
Personally, it started, I was down in Georgia, in Augusta, and I was working on setting up kitchens and doing what I do down there for 2 months, and then had to shut every single thing down. So They didn't know what was going to happen, and my parents didn't want me to fly. So I ended up driving down to Florida and staying with my grandparents and aunt and uncle down by St. Pete's Beach for about a month. And then I kind of was like in purgatory for a little bit. Then came back home to Philadelphia. I was still just consulting for Moonshine at the time because I was away. I would hire staff and make sure that they were trained to do the job, and I would do ordering while I was away. I got back, and then I just went full time at Moonshine. It's like, well, the world shut down. Let's do some renovation. So we ended up knocking down walls, doubling the size of their kitchen. We tripled the size of the outside they had. I had my dad build this huge, enclosure for the outside and things like that. So we got super busy down there. We did numbers they've never done before.
That's
so awesome. We had a good time. Obviously, it was very, very tough to keep staff during that time, but worked through it nonstop. So it kept me busy at least, because what else was there to do?
Yeah, right.
Traveling was shut down, and that's like my favorite thing to do. So I was like, all right, just might as well work like crazy and just focused on. I have a couple other endeavors, so ideas for my olive oil brand, things like that. We came out with a vinegar line during that time period. So I used the time wisely and try to do the things that you don't have time to normally get to. I know you're busy, man, so you must understand, like, sometimes my list is like 50 things long and it can be very daunting. So the downtime for me is really, really, like, this is downtime for me, but it's very, very rare. And I'm always feeling the pressure that during that downtime, I should be doing that list. So it's like a nonstop cycle of things. So I feel like during COVID, I took some time to really focus on a couple of things that I put to the side for a little while.
Sure.
Yeah, I tried at least.
Now, you said too, how you do a lot of traveling, like to Atlanta and everywhere else, doing your little pop-ups and everything you do.
Just got back from one last week.
See, would you ever consider going and moving anywhere else permanently if the offer was right? Or is Philly always going to be home?
I mean, if the offer was right and it made sense, and I had to really like the place. No matter how much I travel, Philly still feels like home for me, even though I'm technically not Philly at the moment. I'm at Glen Olden for the time being.
She's now a Delco girl.
No, please don't say that. Please don't say that. I'm sorry, Delco people.
Come on. I'm wearing my Upper Darby shirt.
I know, it's you though. I'm like a Northeast Philly person, so for me, this has definitely been a interesting transition. But it was 15 minutes from work, because last summer I was traveling back and forth, and it was taking forever. It was killing me. But I would definitely consider moving, and I have in the past. It just wasn't the right timing or the right fit. But we'll see what the future holds. I really enjoy doing the pop-ups because it just lets me check out these new places that maybe I'll want to move in the future. Who knows?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, with you, you'd never know where you're going to end up because you're always popping up somewhere. Literally.
I'll be back in Georgia next week too for like 4 days. I'm there a lot. It's like my second home.
Now, something I was kind of shocked at when we started talking last week to get this all set up is you had some hip problems.
Yeah. So during the spring of this year, I was working a tournament and I was feeling some pain and just thought I was getting old, just like the rest of us. I'm like, oh God, I finally, it's catching up to me, working these 16-hour days. And afterwards, I got to the doctors a few times. Couldn't really figure out what was going on, but it got really, really bad to the point where I wasn't really able to walk. Went and had MRIs and different things, ended up having a disorder called avascular necrosis, which I've never heard of or anything like that. So they told me I had maximum like 2 to 3 months to get at least my right hip replaced, which I was like, what? This is really putting a damper on my plans right now. Like, that's how my brain works. I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. And there's different stages of it. And my right one, which was making me not able to walk really, was stage 4. And my left one was stage 1. So I ended up getting a procedure. I got my right hip replaced in June. At the same time, they went in and operated on my left, took bone marrow from my right, stuck it in my left. It's this crazy fancy procedure where they're trying to reverse it. So I'll find out in like 2 months if it works, and I'm praying it does because that hurt. It was it was not fun. I'm not used to being number one, not on my feet and not moving, and I was super antsy, and it was super painful. But recovery went well, and I'm definitely moving around and back at work again, for the most part. Like last week was my probably big event back, my first big event, and it was a lot, but it went really well. So
That's freaking crazy. Like,
yeah, it was nuts. But I'm glad they figured it out, because if not, they said some people, if you let it go, like it's basically like the blood supply to your hips gets cut off
okay.
and your bones start to crumble. So it had like little tiny breaks all around that were happening in there that I didn't even know about. I was like, and I was just thinking I just had some weird pain.
How the hell does that happen? Like,
There's many,
weird.
like they said, there's many reasons. It's genetic sometimes. Other reasons, they said it's very popular in men and Asian women, not me. And but I have really really severe allergies, so like really severe. So I've gotten shots for years for them and different things and steroids. And a lot of times people that are cancer patients get it because of the steroids. And I was doing a lot of them since I was a kid. So they think that that was part of the reason. You never really know, but they said that that is a huge thing. So I was like, never again, no more.
Those, I have an autoimmune disease called sarcoidosis. Weird. Anyway, it's like this rare, like very rare disease. As a matter of fact, that's what the comedian Bernie Mac died from, and
Okay.
and Reggie White, the football player. So it's like this very rare lung disease. And when I was first diagnosed with it, like 3 4 years ago, actually they thought I had freaking cancer, which was even scarier. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they put you on prednisone for it. So at one point I was on prednisone for 6 months straight, and I
Mm-hmm.
ended up getting diabetes from prednisone. So it's like, they give you the steroids, and it ends up causing all these things down the line that are even worse than, what they're curing
That's exactly
initially.
what I took as well for years, and it definitely affects how you feel. I would feel
Hmm.
like you would get like fevers or just
Hmm.
not feel like yourself. I'm like, gotta weigh out the good and the bad at that point. Like, what is it worth it?
It's funny when I was taking it, and I was like getting involved in all these groups to try to learn more about the disease. Um, People would say to me, "Oh, you're on prednisone." If you look, supposedly, I never looked it up, but I think there's like a website or something called "Prednisone is the Devil," and it's like all these people who like were on prednisone and they share their horror stories.
We
It's
should get
probably a,
on there.
it's probably a Facebook group or something, but yeah,
I'm in enough Facebook groups, right?
I hear you on that one.
Uh, cracks me
Too
up.
funny. So all right, so how about like doing these shows, like when you end up going to like a new place, or even where, like, say you're at Moonshine Philly and you've been there for a while now, when new employees come in and they know who you are or find out, your history, do they start giving you like the 20 questions of what's Gordon like, or what did you learn from there, and would you do it again, or can you get me on TV?
Every once in a while, it doesn't happen that often. I get them more from guests than I do employees sometimes. Then they'll ask if I'll come out to a table. I'll get asked to come out, take a picture, and to talk to someone that's coming in. The employees don't do that to me too much. Every once in a while, I'll get someone who will, and I'll answer all their questions, and I'm gonna get back to work. Like flattery will get you nowhere.
but do you get the one question I asked, that can you get me on TV? Not asking for that, but more or less, do they ask like, do you think I could get on TV? That can I do what you did?
I had people ask me, especially with Chopped, ask me about
Hmm.
that, and if I would recommend them
I was just going to say, would you recommend, or not actually recommend it, but would you recommend anybody doing it?
I loved Chopped. I mean, I love both experiences. They're both were positive for me. Chopped was awesome. It was one full day of like greatness, except for waking up at like 2:45 in the morning. That sucked. But other than that, it was an amazing experience. I got to cook for Martha Stewart. I know she shouldn't be my idol fully, but she is. Like she's awesome. And Alex Finishelli and Jeffrey, like that was fun for me. Instead of being like Hell's Kitchen was day in, day out, this was like, if you go in there, get creative, have fun, and just like do my thing. So I would recommend people for Chopped, but they'll sometimes they're like, "Can you train me? Can this?" I got that's a lot of work, and I gotta really like you to find the time to do that. But when I was doing Chopped, getting ready for it, I had a couple friends, chef friends, that were training me like mentally. Like I'd be like, "All right, text me once every 15 minutes 4 new ingredients," and I have to respond really fast what I would do with them, just to get my brain ready, because I'm like crazily competitive. I don't know if people really know that. They might come off as like calm and collected, but I really like competition. It's been since I was a kid. Sports, everything. I just like to win. So even if I'm not going to, I'm going to go down swinging. So I like to be prepared for everything I possibly can, mentally at least. I'm a crazy person.
What's funny is like so since I've been down here, actually a Delco inspiration inspired me.
Okay.
So, which you probably know of this since you're especially now that you're officially in Delco.
Depends.
Uh,
I don't care
there's
that much.
on on Facebook there is the Delco Restaurant Review,
Okay, I've seen that.
the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved to
Great
Nashville,
call.
it's huge. Yeah, I was like, wow, like there's nothing like that down here. Like I don't like I learned so much good and bad for food places in Delco. Go to that place. I'm like, you know what? Let's start the Nashville Restaurant Review.
I like it.
So we started it, and it's really been starting to grow lately. But like uh, you learn the good and the bad, and it gets very very interesting. Um,
Also, give me an
uh,
example. Give me something weird that's happened down there in your reviews.
oof, I'll tell you what. Like so in Delco, people will freely go on there and just start blasting.
Mhm.
That's the mentality up there. But
Yeah,
like down here, like I've had
a little bit more polite, right?
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
I've had bad, and I'm just like, you know what, like I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just like, especially like, because now people are like emailing me and messaging me, when you coming out? You got to come out. Come on out. Come out and try our stuff. I'm like, all right, yeah. And then like we'll go out and we try it, and we just like you take that first bite and you just look across the
You're like,
table. You're like,
oh no.
yeah. It's like yeah. And then at that point, it's just like, yeah, this is just we're just going to share the pictures.
That's tough, though. I mean, it's hard to be an honest critic at this point. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings, and you don't know if this is someone's. I mean, especially
I know what you're gonna say.
everyone blames COVID, right?
Right.
No, it's not about that, in my opinion. Right now, it's about this is someone's livelihood.
Exactly.
It could be their family's income, and maybe they were having an off day. Maybe they're not aware. Maybe they don't have the knowledge to do something a certain way. I think the best way to go about it is like you did, gracefully, and just be nice about it. And maybe it's just not for you.
Yeah.
And if they ask for an opinion and they ask you to come and like help them in that way, then it's a different story. Then you're
Right.
consulting, and you got to watch out. It's a lot of work.
I'm
It is
referring them to you.
it is extremely tough to tell a restaurant or a business, especially with owners that have been set in their ways for many years.
Mhm.
They'll the difficulty in my eyes with that kind of position is they bring you in, they want you to tell the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts to them. Sometimes it's on the owner or it's on the person who is the one who hired you, and that is one of the biggest like I guess hardships when it comes to doing things like that, because you got to tell the person who's doing it like they're doing it wrong, and that's tough in a nice way, always in a nice way.
And for you, it's easier because you have the knowledge and the trained knowledge, and you're in the business. I'm just a guy who likes to eat, so there's a big difference here.
I like to eat too. Don't get me wrong.
But it's funny, like so now, like when I do these things, like I go to we go to these restaurants, and I kind of like almost try to picture like on Hell's Kitchen when they do the test where he blindfolds you and you gotta like do
Oh,
the
to see what
spice.
it is.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, like I'm chasing stuff, and I'm like, I would never know what any of this stuff is because I always get stuff wrong.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I feel like it's really hard to focus just on your senses, and like narrow it down once you take your eyes, your smell, especially too. But I think that's a great game to play.
It
You
is.
should do that live one day.
That would be funny.
Oh, we should do it. That'd be so much fun.
Ooh.
We'll have to figure out a way to do it.
I gotta write that down. Yeah. So here you go. So we're going to do an event in Nashville. We're going to get something happening with you, and we should play that game somehow.
I'm in.
That would that interaction with the people with that would be hysterical.
My facial expressions were priceless. I'm telling you. It'd be interesting. I'm ready though.
It's too funny. So like, what is your end game here? Like, do you want your own spot? Do you want TV? What is Christine's end game?
It's a loaded question.
It is a very loaded question.
My end game, as of right now, because I think that you always evolve and change. I do want my own cooking show. I want kind of like a brand empire. I want people to look to me to purchase the best products in the kitchen, the best, like my oils and vinegars that I have right now. I take a big pride in them. We have some different flavors, things that stand us apart from others, if that makes sense. I also have a knife line as well that I work with, Rhineland USA. I want to go to different cities and gain more audiences and build that brand and eventually have the show and not have to be, doing the daily restaurant stuff. The restaurant business is very hard, but it's also a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. I love the fast pace of everything and I love the day-to-day. In the end, I would like to have maybe a restaurant group where, like you say, I'm coming in, I'm consulting, and we're creating dishes, we're giving people an experience. But right now, I would say my end game is cooking show. I want to keep building my brand. I want to get out there. I love doing these pop-ups because I meet new people all the time, cooking different foods all the time, really getting creative and just giving people a wow experience. And that's been the fun part for me lately. So.
And that's the one thing, like you are one, in my eyes, one of the few, out of all the chefs off of the shows that I've interviewed over the years. And it makes me so happy and proud too. You are like one of truly the only ones that I've seen take that opportunity that you had with Hell's Kitchen and Chopped and take that ball and freaking run with it and build a brand, like you say, like, between the olive oils and the vinegars and the knives and you had your chef coats too. You were doing like you were totally running with it and branding yourself from the get-go, and that makes me so happy.
Well, I appreciate that. It definitely wasn't easy straight out of Hell's Kitchen, and it took a lot of pushing and getting my name out there myself, just like like with the Totally Driven and just putting your hard work and trying to get in front of the right people constantly, going to events, networking, going to festivals, paying for everything yourself, working your butt off, trying to just get there. I mean, when I started doing the Taste of Philly festivals, like 2016, I want to say, I got in there a little bit because of Hell's Kitchen, but I took that and I reached out to sponsors. I started emailing to Cabot Cheese, Woodchuck Cider, just to their general email saying, hey, I'm a chef. I did this. I want to go. Will you sponsor me? And I ended up getting like 3 sponsors, which I thought was impossible for that event. And whether that be like Smithfield Bacon, the same thing. I would just reach out and like send blanket emails and hoping for the best. And to those festivals, like South Beach Food and Wine, different ones, I got to go do those because I was working hard for myself.
Right.
And I think that people don't realize, like, just because you do Hell's Kitchen, just because you do Chopped, doesn't mean those things are going to come to you. Sure. You have to really get your name out there, and you have to work hard building your following on social media, being true to yourself too as well. But having fun with it. And I think a lot of people assume just because you do those things that those things are going to come to you, and they don't. It took me years to get the olive oils, like years of just calls, phone calls alone, of sitting there and talking about how are we going to do this? What's the bottle going to look like? The flavors. We came with 3 at first. Now I have 9 different bottles you can purchase.
I was looking last night. I was like, oh my God. Like, oh.
And there's so many. And I've been branding them now too. Like the event we did last week for the PGA Tour. We auctioned off a basket for a charity for the Generation Next project, which I'm working with Robert Black. He's a part of the Bobby Jones family from the golf world as well. So I was auctioning off them. We're trying to get people aware of them, putting out recipes, different things where it's like they're finally starting to be available in stores, but that's taking years. Sure. And it's going to take more years. So perseverance. And sometimes you want to quit. Just don't.
That's do not quit.
It happens all the time, but you
sure. Just now what if you never ended up on Hell's Kitchen? Where do you think you would be today? Do you think you would have still tried to go like a TV route, or do you think you would just be, a chef somewhere?
I don't know. That's kind of tough because it completely changed everything in my mind. Just at least even my mindset alone, I think, honestly, because I've seen other people get back from it and then completely decide not to cook at all. There's lots of people from Hell's Kitchen that happens to.
Really?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you because, I've changed my careers multiple times. I think I would still be doing something higher up in this industry. And work ethic is everything. So, yeah, there's lots of Hell's. If you look up, where are they now? And even people I know that were on my season or other seasons that done Hell's Kitchen, and they're just like, done. Don't cook anymore at all. Go do other things. So, but that's just anybody. It could have been Hell's Kitchen. Could have been, just getting back the career money. It's a tough industry. Yeah. It's not the highest paid industry, and you got to work your butt off to figure out a balance between healthy lifestyle and also, compensation. It's definitely a difficult world to live in right now.
Yeah, especially right now. Like I was in a restaurant the other day, and just watching. You can just see any restaurant you go in now. It's no secret. The restaurant industry, especially with the labor shortage, and you people are just so overworked, even more so. And you just I'm just watching employees running around like crazy, and I'm just like I just feel so bad.
It is definitely interesting. It's tough to watch. You're constantly you're training new people, and then they don't show up the next week, and then it gets harder on the staff that's been there for a long time. And it's definitely difficult. But I'm hoping it starts moving in a positive direction soon. But who knows? We'll see. I'm hoping Philly gets busy again for the fall. The summer's definitely was a rough one up here.
Wow. I would imagine things are going to start picking back up with people going back to work, I think, with the whole unemployment thing ending.
I know. Finally.
Yeah, what was it, the other day I saw people were saying it's finally over. People are going to be going back to work now. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Definitely.
Crazy. So let me ask you this. So what would you say your signature dish would be?
Oh, that's changed all the time. You look at my signature dish from Hell's Kitchen, and then you look at my food from now. It's evolved so much. It cracks me up. I'm like, my one from Hell's Kitchen,
no matter what, it seems like no matter what it is with you, it's always changing.
That's how you have to be. You can't get stale as a chef anyway. And I think the constant traveling and influences and new flavors, I think it's key to being a great chef is that you're going to use something that's going to be either local, fresh, seasonal, and that you're inspired by. And that's my biggest thing. So for me, I got to be inspired by what's going on right now, and then I'll come up with a dish. Sometimes I get completely frustrated and not inspired, and it makes me mad. But I want to say, if you give it a comparison, so my Hell's Kitchen dish that I did, I got a 4 out of 5, but it was a play on surf and turf. So you had a crispy polenta cake, red wine braised pork belly, which I did in the pressure cooker. So you only had 40 minutes. I did a seared scallop, a little an egg on top, and a nice little sauce. That was then. It was rustic, to say the least, very rustic, but it was good. It was good flavors. I did a dish last week working with my team down in Georgia, and we did a 1920s speakeasy style, all about the roaring 20s and then till now. So I really dived in, and we did 5 full courses. And one of my favorite dishes was a play on lobster Newburg. So we used lobster about 5 different ways in this dish, but we had a lobster salad on the plate, lobster tail, lobster claw. I made a Newburg sauce. So it it would taste like the sauce would. It was more like refined, because before that would be in like puff pastry with a nice like clunky sauce with like a chive out of it, if you're thinking back to like the plating of that time. So then we did a mascarpone panna cotta, and we bruleed the top of it. We also did a fennel confit in the center and a fennel oil around, brioche crumble, and then I made a cracker out of lobster, which was awesome. It tasted like a lobster pork rind. So you take a lobster, you puree it out with tapioca, and then you dried it out for 2 days, and you deep fried it and crisped it up. So it gave all this fun texture on the plate. Stuff like that. I like getting creative at this point and doing things that are different. So I dropped it down. I'm like, here you go, guys. This is our inspired dish from the 1920s, because I come out in between each dish. This is lobster Newburgh. And they're like, hmm? And they're like, okay, now I see where you're going with this. And I just really like reinventing things, having fun, and creating cool stuff. Food is like the best mixture when I'm cooking, is best mixture of art and science. I was a pre-med when I was in college, and very science driven. So for me, I love when we get to apply those kind of things to cooking. It's fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what is your favorite food to eat?
Ooh. I mean, I love bacon. I love bacon on everything. And I mean, I'm a simple girl. Like I'm not going to cook crazy fancy at home all the time. I just really don't have time to do that. But if you took bacon out of my life, I'd be really upset. I really would. I was sponsored by Smithfield for a while. I used to have like 50 cases of bacon. It was like a dream. How about you? What's your favorite?
Ooh.
Something you can't live without. Ooh, it's a tough one.
It is tough because it's probably either going to be probably pizza or buffalo wings.
Okay. I can see that.
I'm simple.
But what kind of pizza? I mean, are you like Jersey Shore style, like thin crust, like New York, or you like Chicago, all doughy?
I love it all.
Okay.
I worked in the pizza industry like 18 years. I actually owned my own shop when I was 18.
Wow. That's impressive. That's awesome.
Yeah. So like pizza was my life for a long time. Yeah.
Very cool.
And I do put pineapple on pizza, and I freaking love it. So how about that?
I mean, I don't hate it. I just don't like ham. So if people put ham and pineapple, like I like pork. Don't get me wrong, in many ways, but like just regular old ham, like, give me pork roll any day. But like ham does nothing for me, except unless it's an Italian hoagie, then it's great.
There you go.
That's something I can't live without. When I go away and I come back, it's like the first thing I have to do is get an Italian hoagie.
Yeah, I haven't had a hoagie in 2 years.
Oh my gosh. I got to bring you one.
Yes.
We're missing out.
Yes. But it's funny because I found there's 2 places down here that have cheesesteaks, and they're both from Philly. And it's funny because they're both like college kids. And one opened, he started with a cart, and now he's got the cart and a store. And the other one, he's got 2 locations now. And they're both killing it, man. Both young guys, and both like really super happy for them, both of them.
How's the bread?
They both had them shipped in from Amoroso.
Got it. It's key, because when I'm down in Georgia, I tried a couple different places, and it's just the bread was just like, ugh.
The bread down here, no good.
It's
no good. It's no good. And something else. And Nashville, I love you, but they honestly, they really don't know good food. They have no idea. They really have.
Better watch it. They're gonna come for you now.
They probably will. But it's the truth. Like we eat a lot of places, and we walk out, and we're just like, they have no idea, because these places are like the places of Nashville, and you're just like,
I'm going to check it out.
If you were in Philly, like, no,
it wouldn't happen.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's interesting though.
Oh, I bet it is.
Yeah. So, all right. So, what's on your plans? What's on your agenda? Anything you're going to be? You have the new job starting.
Yeah.
What else you got cooking? Literally.
New job starts next week. Then I'm going to Georgia next week for a private event for Harrah's down in Georgia, cooking for some fun people. Come back, and then planning some pop-ups. So the one we did last week was for the PGA Tour Championship down in Atlanta. So I've been working with the Bobby Jones family with Robert Black Management. So we're going to be doing more of those. now that one was very, very successful. We're going to be touring probably 4 to 5 cities next year around the PGA Tour, hopefully,
Okay.
selected cities, and in between my work. And hopefully it's going to be like a fun experience and a few other pop ups. I hope we were talking about doing one in Nashville. So hopefully that can come together. I haven't been to Nashville. I've been to Chattanooga, which was awesome. So I think it's time. I've been talking about it for a
Yeah.
while. I need to go down there and do some collaborations and try some of the food you've been talking about.
Yeah. There's. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is some good places, but yeah, it needs a little East Coast touch for sure.
Well, I can bring the East Coast touch. That's not a problem.
I know you can. Cool. Well, Christine, where should everybody go to get hold of you and get those amazing olive oils, vinegars, and if they need the knives and
Right?
anything else?
The easiest way to get a hold of me in anything I'm doing is on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, Chef Christine Hazel. In addition, if you go onto my Instagram or you go onto my Facebook, there'll be the link to my Square site, which is Chef Christine Hazel with and olive oils. If you Google it, it's the first thing that pops up, but I have the site listed there. And if you go to Rhineland USA, Rhineland Knives, if you go in there and use the discount code Hazel40, you get 40% off any of their knives and free engraving, which they're
Nice.
awesome knives. So I highly recommend it. But all that stuff's always on my social media. You'll be seeing a lot more of me lately on it. I know I've been kind of quiet. That was because of my surgeries, and everyone kept messaging me and asking me, like, Christine, are you cooking anymore? What are you doing? And I kind of just took it as a time to step back from social media, heal myself, and, just recover fully before I came back and show the world what I have in store for them this year. So you're going to see a
Nice.
lot more of me, a lot of cooking videos, using the oils, a lot of like just fun, exciting food. And I'm super excited about it.
That's awesome. I tell you what, I honestly I was wondering the same thing. I was like, she's been quiet, which is
I
unlike
fell
her.
I was stuck up in Levittown, PA with my mom. And my dad taking care of me, and I was in hibernation mode. So I am back.
Look out, everybody! She's back.
Yeah, and hopefully we can get a date on the book soon for a Nashville collaboration, and we can have some fun.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's do another one of these things like this week or something, and let's figure out the details on what we need to do or what I need to do to make it happen.
Hey, we'll put our heads together. We'll figure this out. It's been a
Absolutely.
pleasure, though. Thank you so much for having me on.
Always, Christine.
All right,
Miss you, and great to hear from you again.
miss you too. Talk to you soon.
You got it. Bye. All right, there she goes, Christine Hazel. Check her out all over social media. And thanks for tuning in. I got another episode coming up in about 15 minutes. I'm going to be talking with Jizzy Pearl from Quiet Riot about the new Jizzy Pearl's Love Hate. And make sure if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and check us out. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few.